Okay, so this is going to be a bit different than the usual videos, because I'm actually going to put this into the mini My Thoughts category instead of the actual My Thoughts. Sorry, I had some gum in my mouth that I forgot about. So, I'm not actually going to do like a full rework of the champion, I'm more of just going to like explain the champion's kit currently. And by that, I'm not going to like change their kit and do all the things that I usually do in like the A to Z. So I'm not actually putting this a part of the A to Z. This is really just going to go into like the mini My Thoughts and like the League of Legends areas. Well, like playlists. But things happen. So we're going to go over the new champion that is not released yet that I really want to play, to be completely honest. Kai'Sa, Daughter of the Void. So I don't really know her full lore, but I do know that she is, of course, whatever the heck it's called, like Caston's daughter. And that's all I got. Kai'Sa, Daughter of the Void. To survive among predators, Kai'Sa became one. Stranded for years with no hope of rescue, Kai'Sa endured through sheer will and a symbiotic second skin adapted from a living void creature. Now the Daughter of the Void emerges in Apex Hunter, torn between two worlds, as one that birthed her and the one that made her. Okay. So, let's first go over her passive, second skin. Caustic Wounds. Kai'Sa basic attacks mark enemies with plasma, dealing increasing bonus magic damage after a few successive attacks. The plasma ruptures for a burst of damage based on the target's missing health. Nearby allies immobilizing effects add a stack of plasma. Kai'Sa's symbiotic suit adapts to her chosen attack style, evolving her abilities based on permanent stats gained from the shop items and experience level. Why is it muted? See, I like the fact that it also works off of like a mobiling effect, because she is supposed to be an ADC. That means that any like hard CC support will do very well with her. It helped get off each of the damage, and then it is based off of like missing HP, so it is a bit different than the usual 3-stack things. Now this, of course, is like 5 stacks, or yeah, it's 5 stacks, so it is a bit like longer and all, but really in essence it is just like a hit this person 5 times and things happen, which is like the usual. I don't really like the fact that it doesn't show living weapon, but the animation for living weapon is the same exact thing for all of her abilities, like her Q, W, E, and that upsets me. I wish that it was different depending on what ability it was, but I can understand why they don't. But I think that, just put in the little extra effort and actually do it. Sorry, excuse me about the burp. So, next we have her Q. Nope, that's after. Icathian Rain. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to say that right. Kai'Sa releases a swarm of missiles evenly distributed among nearby enemies, with additional hits on the same target dealing slightly reduced damage. Living weapon. Or her passive living weapon, if she builds enough AD with enough bonus attack damage, it says it right there, Icathian Rain fires significantly more missiles. I wish it actually told you like how many, but it really, doesn't get into details unless you're in the game and hover over the ability, which I don't like. But here's the video of it. So it still does like a decent chunk more damage, as we can see here. That's like roughly 1/10 of an HP, maybe a little less than 1/10. That might actually be. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't want to make the assumption off of it right now. And then that would honestly, like, we're gonna stick with the tenths. That's honestly more like 2 to 3 tenths. So it does do a lot more damage because of a significant amount more. But I wish she was kind of like, whatever the heck it's called, Urgot, where if she lands another one of her abilities or something like that, or it prioritizes targets with plasma already on them. just to like increase damage and to have a bit more of like an effect from actually like landing your other abilities. So next, let's go to her W. Let's pause that. Voidseeker. Kaisa fires off a beam of void energy, revealing the first enemy hit, dealing magic damage, and applying stacks of plasma. Notice it says stacks, so I believe it is 2 stacks on how it is regularly. Living weapon. With enough bonus ability power, so this is based off of ability power, not AD like her Q, Voidseeker deals more damage and partially refunds the cooldown on champion hit. So it gives 2 stacks of your passive plasma, and with the other part of your passive from building enough ability power, it just does like bonus damage and refunds the cooldown, which I honestly think is pretty cool because it also it depends on if you hit. Now I would also like, as I said earlier, to see like if you land this at like closer range, then your Q can also heat seek to those people, or it prefers whatever the heck it's called, like plasma targets, but that's just going back to the Q and not really sticking with the W. Here's the video of it. And that's, oh, it does 3. Does it do 3 at the beginning? Oh no, it only does 2, so it does apply 1 more stack with the upgraded version 2. Yeah, it doesn't really say that, but I guess it also does add 3 stacks with like the lipping weapon version. That is a ton of damage, but remember that you do need to have a certain amount of AP, and it does build off of AP anyway, so that doing more damage like that really isn't just whatever the heck it's called, the bonus damage that it gives you. It's just, it's also the having more ability power. Okay, let's go to her E. Supercharger. Supercharger. I don't like that. I really don't like that at all. Kaisa charges up, briefly increasing her movement speed, but losing the ability to attack. After charging up, Kaisa whips out the big guns to increase her attack speed for a few seconds. Basic attacks reduce Supercharger's cooldown. I really like that. Living weapon with enough bonus attack speed. Ooh. Supercharger briefly grants true invisibility while charging up. Now, I both like and dislike this at the same time. I agree with the fact that you can't attack while like you're gaining the bonus movement speed, because you'll be able to dodge everything and like so on and so forth. And during this time, honestly, you probably, if you're like trying to use it to escape, you wouldn't really be sorry, I got tongue-tied. You wouldn't really be able to attack in the first place. But you know, and then when you actually jump back into fight, when the E's done and you get bonus attack speed, you'll be able to make up for all like the damage you could have potentially lost from not being able to attack a moment earlier. Now, the thing I don't like about it is the fact that you need attack speed for living weapon. Now, I understand that this is meant more for like the ADC aspect, so like building AD and attack speed, like what her Q and E would want. Like that's how you get like the most out of her. But I wish that it was built off of movement speed instead. Now, the reason I would have this happen is because, one, it would force like ADCs and other things like that to maybe not go for boots of attack speed and maybe go for swifties. Like force you to maybe change up depending on what items you want, so that way the ADC can't just build pure attack speed crit items with like AD mixed in there too to get her Q and E leveled up, and instead she'll only be able to get like the Q or yeah. Which I kind of understand, because maybe you might not have enough AD to get her Q if you go like full attack speed, but at the same time you can like get enough AD or a good amount of AD from building more attack speed items than anything else. Sorry about OBS, just wanted to pop up for no darn reason there. So sorry about the mind trip right there. And that's really the only change I would have with it, though. I do like the ability in itself. I like how they like say she whips out the big guns, but at the same time I think it's a bit stupid. But I also really like the fact that like auto attacks in general lower the cooldown. Okay, so let's see it. So like that, wait, let's go over this. That like this little running time she has right here, that's when it's charging and she just gains her bonus attack speed, or bonus movement speed, and that right there was the bonus attack speed. And that's like the second part of it, where you also go invisible, so he doesn't really know what direction she's going in, but she also manages to dodge the ability. I kind of honestly wish that it like showed you getting knocked up there, just so that he wouldn't realize that you were knocked up until like a second later, because you'd stay invisible. Let's go to her R. Killer Instinct. Kaisa dashes at extremely high speeds with long range to a location near an enemy champion marked with plasma, and briefly gains a damage-absorbing shield. That's like the circle that she can dash anywhere to, as you can see, and a damage-absorbing shield. And it does also work with your W, because it's anyone that's marked with plasma. Now, I definitely like this just because it is a very good mobility, plus it also gives a shield. It protects her, but also allows her to go in at the same time. It gets her in close range for her Q, and her W can also proc it. She can, from there, use her E, and it really ties together her kit pretty well. But at the same time, I wish it had some sort of, like, living weapon passive. Now what I would probably base it off of would either be like health or something along those lines, or maybe that like we can keep her E being the whatever the heck it's called, being the like build off attack speed, and that can be built off of movement speed for whatever. And then from there would just give her like a bigger damage absorbing shield, or it would give her a buff of like attack speed or bonus crit or something like that upon landing. And I really do like her kit in general. That's why I really want to play her, and I really want to get all three of these at the same time and just build like a really weird but really effective attack speed, AD, and ability power I'll just see like build. And that's all of her ability. Now let's go to playing. As Kaisa, you're a threat that's never far. Well, I had messed up that royally. Hunting down would be killers and diving into dangers to emerge the sole survivor. Track and tag isolated enemies with Voidseeker. Then follow up with your ultimate and merciless Acathian Rain, that ability, for a quick kill. On the off chance they survive the initial onslaught, a Supercharger will keep you in range for a rapid-fire takedown. In T-Fight, strike at blinding speed with your Killer Instinct, positioning Kaisa at the optimal angle to avoid pesky crowd control and shoot blocking front lines. That carry in the back no one can get to. Kaisa can, but you'd better be ready to fight your way out once you're in deep. Ugh, man, I can't speak. Why again am I muted? So I both like and dislike this one, because right here it showed like her going after the ADC, but the ADC was split off from like the rest of the group. So like getting to the ADC that no one seems to get to, that's like insanely easy in this video. And that wasn't really a team fight at all. That was just like two separate fights happening in two different areas. I like the first one because it actually shows like a back and forth, and it shows her having to like walk around her enemy, which was Rumble. Like she actually needs to, like, she starts over here, but she manages to wake her entire way around using her entire kit. I think that they did a really well job with like the solo fight there. But here I think they messed up because they as I said, they made her fight him completely alone, when usually she will have like a front line to keep her off. So yeah, she might be able to get to him, but it will actually be hard to fight out of it, unlike in here. In this, that really did... I like the way it showed her ult and everything, but I don't really think she needed to pull back, especially with Nami not being much of a change. But I guess they just did that to show her using her Q to, like, increase movement speed and all, and then showing the damage from her Q as well. Or using her E to increase movement speed and damage from her Q. Danger is real. Fear is an illusion. Kaisa. So, tips and tricks, which I think she does look pretty cool in general, but meh. I don't like how they focus so much on her Q in this. Like, here's her Q, there's her basic attacks with her E. It really doesn't, and then like her alt, it really doesn't show all that much of other things. Watch for enemies wandering without backup, but also keep an eye out for allies already in combat. If they can immobilize and mark an enemy with plasma, Killer Instinct is a free ticket to a fast kill. Living up in turns key item purchases into serious power spikes, so don't hesitate to pick fights. Kaisa's adaptions work best when you recall and roam. You evolved that vicious new void enhancement to farm champions, not minions. Oh, really? Well, a Cathian Rain can annihilate an enemy isolated enough to take full damage from the missile salvo. Kaisa at her most murderous when she's making good use of her autos. Her passive means each one hits extra hard, and the constant assault will drastically reduce the cooldown on Supercharge, so you can keep repositioning. Good descriptions, I'll give them that. Life and death are separated by the smallest stumble. This is very true. So here is her base, like skin, the art of it anyway. I don't really know how I feel about the giant things on her back. I wish those were like a bit more subtle and not as sane as they are, but I'm okay with them for the most part. I think that the rest of her body does definitely look very nice with like the skin, or like with the armor and all. But I wish that the armor kind of, as I said, I wish it kind of changed earlier with like her passive, because as I said, with each of her, it doesn't really show it here, but when she evolves, she just like does the same animation. I wish it was a different animation depending on what she's evolving, and it actually changes that part of her body, and it really doesn't do that. I don't believe so. And then the last bit is her other skin, which it doesn't really have a name for it, obviously. But I don't really know how I feel about having a minigun. But honestly, I think this suits for like the jet things much better, because it actually turns them into jets instead of like this weird ending. And they just look weird as is here. But I think here they actually look pretty good, because it actually symbolizes it as like some sort of jet. And yeah, so that is Kaisa. So as I said, this is just going to be something I'm going to try for all new champions now, and I hope that you all enjoy it. Hopefully I get better with talking and everything in the future, because I know my skills are pretty lacking. But you know, I got room to improve. And her hair is long. I don't know why I saw that and just had to make a comment. Okay. So thank you all very much for watching this video. I hope to see you all next time. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it and want to see more. I have a lot of League content and so on and so forth. And I bid you all adieu. Goodbye.